that being was about to create the universe. Who is that? Brahma. When Brahma had to begin Srishti, at that time, without him realizing, after a prolonged period of tapas, Brahma suddenly found one shabdam that came out of his mouth. That is Om. This is what he says first. After he says Om, he says Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. These all came after that. But he listened to the shabdam that came out of him. He didn't know that it was coming out. But when it came out, he took a pause and he said, this shabdam that came first, Om. The interesting thing about this shabdam is it belongs to no language. Even if you look at the way it is written, in Sanskritam, it is written in differently. But if you look at the actual akaram of Om, it has some phenomenal understanding that will come tomorrow. But Brahma focused on this Omkaram. And he said, this Om that I am speaking about, this Om that came out of me, he says so beautifully, he says, Adyantam yat param sukshmam arupam paramam sthitam. Om ityuktam maya vipra tat parabrahma tat vapuhu. This shabdam that came, that tad vapuhu, that vapu means body. This Om that I said is Paramatma's body. And this is what Brahma reflects on. When he is reflecting like this, where is he? Srishti has not been created yet. Around him is darkness everywhere. But this word Om has come from inside because he was focusing on the light inside. Light, Q. These are all Sanketavadas. Puranas are full of symbolic language. This light, no sooner did he say Om and then say, oh, this Om is Parabrahma's body. The second he did that, there was light everywhere. It was just a flooding light. And I have to honestly tell you, when I was reading this portion of the story, I was actually trying to visualize for myself, what would it feel like to have so much flooding light all around? Now I can feel it. And it was so intense. Then Brahma realized, I am trying to create Srishti. If this much of light and heat is around, it will destroy my Srishti. But this light is coming from Parabrahma, so I must bow down to this. And Brahma makes a stuti. To who? To who? To the light. Main character has not come, protagonist has not come yet. Or has he? To Omkara. Brahma makes a stuti to that Omkara and says, this Om is the very basis of this world. And this is what we continue to practice today. We are always fighting between this side or this side. But if you see, one thing remains common. Om Vishnave Namaha, Om Shivaya Namaha. Shiva and Vishnu are changing. Om is remaining the same. They are all representations of that Omkara. That primordial Pranavakara, Brahma recognized had taken a form. And that form was of light, Kanti Swarupam. And that Kanti had to necessarily reduce itself so that the world could be safe. That Kanti is beyond our comprehension. So Brahma does this. He does an extraordinary stuti to Omkara, and that Omkara reduces itself. Brahma is relieved, and the Srishti comes into being. From Brahma's Manas emerges the Prajapati. From Prajapati comes, any guesses? This is a beautiful krama that you will actually find in the Ramayana. Comes Marichi. From Marichi comes Kashyapa. And Kashyapa marries 13 daughters of Daksha Prajapati. Now, one amongst them is Diti. Another amongst them is Aditya.
Everyone felt this when Sarah Ali Khan said this.
100% लोगों की गंदी ऊर्जा चाहिए.
What is another?
You look at
Diti and Kashyapa together become the parents of Danavas. Kashyapa has other wives also, and they become together the parents of other jatis, Nagas, Gandharvas. beings, various beings come into being like this. But Diti becomes the mother to all the Danavas. So these are the mothers, these are the children of Diti and Kashyapa. Meanwhile, Aditi and Kashyapa become the parents of the Devatas. Now what happens, Aditi notices, is that there is an imbalance. Because as soon as the Danavas and the Devas come into being, into creation, which is again a beautiful cosmic phenomenon. Surya Katha is filled with something that's happening at the macrocosm level, which we'll explore. As soon as there is this tussle, Aditi notices that these Danavas are hurting her children. So she realizes she needs to pray now, that there is a balance and that Paramatma must come as her child. So Aditi also sits down to pray. Who does Aditi pray to? Aditi prays to Vishnu, okay? Any other guesses? Brahma. Aditi takes Brahma as a case study and says, who did he pray to? I'll pray to the same person. Omkara. She prays to that being that is filling this universe with light. And she says, you have to come in my Garbha. You have to descend. When you come, you will be able to ensure that the Danavas and the Daityas, there is a balance that is maintained. You will do Rakshasa Samharam. So you come. And Aditi does a tapas for so very long. And that Omkara is pleased and appears into Aditi's Garbham and says, your tapas has pleased me. I will come in 12 forms to you as your child. So shall we see what those 12 forms are? It is amazing how Samba Purana in particular mentions how each of these 12 forms of Omkara manifesting into Aditi's Garbham, where that form can be found. So it begins something like this. The first form, I'm just going to read the essence of it. If we go into each shloka and split it up, in the interest of time, we will not be able to manage that much. But essentially, the first form born to Aditi is known as Indra. And Indra is the ruler of Devaloka. So he is Devaraja. He becomes Devaraja. The second form that is born to Aditi is known as Dhata. And he earns the position of Prajapati, and he is the creator of different creatures. The third form that is born to her is known as Parjanya. Any guess what Parjanya means? Clouds. Responsible for rain. Cosmic phenomenon. Something, sun, light, rain. Something, all of it, evaporation cycle. Is it ringing a bell from science textbooks? Purana Kathas. The fourth form born to Aditi is known as Pusha. And Pusha resides in all food and is responsible for the nourishment of all creatures. The fifth form that is born to Aditi is known as Twashta. Twashta resides in all plants and in all aushadhis, all medicinal herbs. The sixth form born to her is Aryama. And Aryama resides in the air all around. And Aryama is responsible for the movement of air within the body. The seventh form that is born to Aditi is known as Bhaga and lives in Bhumi Devi and inside the bodies. Why in the bodies and in Bhumi Devi? Because both are made of the same elements. The eighth form is known as Vivaswan, and Vivaswan resides in fire. This form of Vivaswan is also responsible for food digesting, because within the body also there is a digestive fire. What we know as the different anabolic and catabolic processes within the stomach, within the large and small intestine that digest food, Vivaswan is responsible for that. The ninth form that is born to Aditi is known as Vishnu, and he is born for Rakshasa Samharam. That was what she had asked for. How many are done? How many did we say? Something special about that number. You remember that number 12. The 10th form is known as Amshuman. And Amshuman resides in any person who smiles. He resides on both sides of their lips. Now all of you are smiling. That's Amshuman.
డబ్బు అందరం సంపాదిస్తున్నాం. పర్వాలేదు, డబ్బు సంపాదించుకుంటూ
The 11th form that is born to Aditi is known as Varuna, and Varuna resides in the water. And the 12th form that chooses to be born to Aditi is so fond by nature, this form, not to say that the others aren't. The 12th is the essence of all those who came up till now. The 12th has all of them inside him. And this 12th form said, when I look at any being, I feel like I am their friend. And that is why this form was known as Mitra. So these 12 forms of who? Of Omkara are born to Aditi. Together, these 12 forms are known as Dwadasha Adityas. Because they are born to Aditi, they are known as Adityas. So here's an interesting thing. Together, whenever you look at Devatas, all the Devatas together are called as Adityas in plural. But one form alone is called as Aditya, that is Surya. So the summation of all the gods together is Omkaram. That Omkaram has now manifested as in 12 forms to Aditi, not as 12 babies that she can keep in a basket, but 12 forms that went to fill the universe in different ways. And look at how subtle they are. How that energy of Omkara is there in plants, it's there in creatures, it's there in the body, it's there in the earth, it's all around. So the Rishi is already hinting, saying this being is everywhere, not just thousands and thousands of kilometers away. But this form, the story continues from here, and the form known as Mitra or Aditya, whichever. There are different Puranas give 12 different names. You heard one set of 12 names being chanted some time ago. There are other versions to this as well. Every time the names change, we don't have to worry about is this right or is this right. Both of them are right. They just explain a different facet of Paramatma. So here we explored one aspect of it, or rather one set of these 12. But when we take the story that continues from here, it becomes very interesting, because once her son comes into being and establishes a balance between Devatas and Rakshasas, now her son, what's her son's name? Aditya. Aditi's putra, Aditi putra, Aditya. Aditya also enters Grihastha on a family life. And this is a story that some of us are familiar with, and there is quite a bit of masala that's added to it. So today I will present the version that is free from the dramatization. But it's a very, very interesting story nevertheless. So what happens here is, Aditya marries the daughter of the celestial architect. The celestial architect is Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is also known as Twashta. Twashta is a name that came here. Twashta is also the name of Vishwakarma. Again, some connection, but we have 2 days, so I'll decode each of those in good time. Vishwakarma gives his daughter by name Sangnya. Sangnya is given in marriage to Aditya. Now Aditya is extremely bright, literally and metaphorically. So what this does is, for Sangnya, this poses a challenge, because she's finding it blinding to be around him. So she's with him. They even have 3 children. The first child that they have, his name is, because he's born to Vivaswan, who is one of the names. So I just want to clarify this. Although we said 12 distinct forms, we're referring to 12 forms of the same Aditya. So one of them was Vivaswan. So the son that is born to him is Vaivaswata. Does that ring a bell? Because that Vaivaswata Manu is the time that we are currently, it is under his Manvantara that we are currently living. If we read the regular Sankalpams, all of them will mention this, Vaivaswata Manvantare Kaliyuge Prathamai Pade. So Vivaswan's son was Vaivaswata Manu, and then they had a pair of twins, a pair of fraternal twins by name Yama and Yami. Not yummy, the eating yummy. This is Yami. Yama. Yama we all know. Panic also will. Interestingly, another beautiful coincidence of how this Katha features today, Shanivaram is a day meant for Yamasmarana. So Yama finding a mention here, and Yama plays a prominent role in the story in a few minutes, also has a very beautiful aspect. Now just notice the different children that are born to Aditya. Vaivasvata Manu, again the ruler of time. Yama is also the ruler of a different kind of time for us.
नमस्कार, मैं नीतीश भारद्वाज। आप सबने मुझे महाभारत के कृष्ण के रूप में
And Yami, whose katha we will come to in just a little while.